This isn't just a picture of some old airplane. Nope. This is a machine with one of the most incredible stories in the entire history of invention. Seriously. It flew for less than a minute in its entire life, was almost destroyed by a gust of wind, and then it was exiled from its own country for 20 years. So let's get into the amazing story of the Wright Flyer.
Right here, this is the moment it all changed. We're on the windswept sands of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. That's Orville Wright at the controls and his brother Wilbur running alongside. For 12 seconds, just 12 seconds, this machine is actually airborne, flying under its own power and completely under control. This is it. For the first time in all of human history, we are truly flying.
Just about everyone has seen this photograph, right? But the Flyer's journey after it landed? Well, that's a whole other story. It's a dramatic tale of controversy, exile, and, believe it or not, a voyage that went way beyond our world.
To really get what they pulled off, you have to understand the sheer scale of their achievement. I mean, by any standard we have today, it was an impossible flight.
Okay, think about this for a second. That first flight, the one in the famous photo, it only covered 120 feet. That is less than the wingspan of a single Boeing 747. The entire flight could have happened on the wing of a modern jet. And they did it all with a custom-built engine that produced a teeny-tiny 12 horsepower.
So how on earth did two bicycle mechanics from Ohio build the machine that literally changed the world? Well, it turns out they were brilliant, incredibly resourceful engineers who just applied the principles they knew best: simplicity, control, and good old-fashioned hands-on problem solving.
Just look at the materials they used. It's amazing. The frame was made of simple spruce and ash wood. The wings, they were covered in a basic cotton muslin called Pride of the West, which, and I am not making this up, was typically used for women's underwear. And to turn the propellers, they just used chains, borrowing the technology directly from their bicycle shop.
They couldn't just go out and buy a car engine, right? Nothing was light enough or powerful enough. So they did what any good inventors would do. They asked their shop mechanic, a guy named Charlie Taylor, to just build one from scratch. And he did. In 6 weeks, he cranked out this 180-pound aluminum block engine. It was an absolute masterpiece of lightweight engineering for its time.
Now, this was no simple kite with an engine just strapped on. You can see the complexity right here in their original patent drawings. It was a really carefully designed system, from the super efficient propellers they carved by hand to the revolutionary control system that was their true secret weapon.
And here it is. This is what made it all possible. Wing warping. This was their true genius. See, most inventors at the time were trying to build planes that were naturally stable, ones that would basically fly themselves. The Wrights, they did the exact opposite. They realized the secret wasn't stability, it was control. So they built an unstable aircraft that the pilot had to actively fly. The pilot would lie on the lower wing and shift his hips in this cradle that pulled on wires that would literally twist or warp the ends of the wings. This allowed him to bank and turn, just like a bird. This right here was the fundamental breakthrough for controlled flight.
So all this work, all this incredible invention, it all came down to one cold, windy morning on the coast of North Carolina.
And you know what? It didn't work the first time. On December 14th, Wilbur won a coin toss for the first crack at it. But he pulled up too sharply, the plane stalled, and it just dug right into the sand. It took him 3 days to make repairs. Then, on the 17th, it was Orville's turn.
Okay, here we go. The first flight of the day, a mere 120 feet, lasting just 12 seconds. It wasn't much, but it was everything. It was proof. They had done it.
They didn't even waste a second. They tried again immediately, pushing it further, this time 175 feet.
And the third flight of the morning, they pushed it to 200 feet. You can just imagine the excitement. With every single attempt, they were learning, they were mastering their own invention in real time.
And then came the fourth and final flight. Wilbur took the controls this time and flew for a staggering 59 seconds, covering 852 feet. Think about that. In the span of just one morning, they had gone from a hopeful little hop to a sustained, controlled flight. They had officially invented the airplane.
And then, just like that, it was over. While the brothers were standing there discussing their incredible success, a powerful gust of wind caught the Flyer, tumbling it across the sand and smashing it to pieces. The world's first successful airplane had a total flight career of just a few minutes. It was crated up,
shipped back to Ohio, and it never, ever took to the air again.
But the plane's greatest battle wasn't against the wind or gravity. No, its biggest fight was for its place in history, a battle fought right here on the ground.
For decades, the Smithsonian Institution, the National Museum of the United States, refused to credit the Wrights with the first flight. They insisted that honor belonged to a machine built by their own former secretary, Samuel Langley. Now, his aerodrome had failed spectacularly, crashing into the Potomac River 9 days before the Wrights flew. But the Smithsonian claimed it was the first machine capable of flight, and, well, that claim just infuriated Orville.
So, in protest, Orville did something just unthinkable. In 1928, he sent the Wright Flyer, the single most important artifact in all of aviation history, into exile. He loaned it to the Science Museum in London because he believed it would be treated more honestly there than in its own country.
It wasn't until 1942 that a new leader at the Smithsonian finally published a full retraction and admitted that yes, the Wrights were first. So after the war, the Flyer finally came home. In 1948, it was returned to the United States aboard an aircraft carrier, at last ready to take its rightful place of honor.
But the Flyer's journey, and the incredible journey it started, was far from over. I mean, its legacy would travel to places the Wright brothers could have never, ever imagined.
Get this. In 1969, just 66 years after that first little hop, another Ohioan, Neil Armstrong, stepped onto the moon. And in his personal kit, he carried a small piece of the Wright Flyer's left propeller and a little swatch of fabric from its wing. He connected the birth of flight on Earth with humanity's first steps on another world. How cool is that?
And the journey just kept going. In 2021, another postage stamp-sized piece of that original wing fabric flew again. This time, it was attached to NASA's Ingenuity helicopter, which performed the first powered, controlled flight on another planet, Mars.
So, from a windy beach in North Carolina to the Sea of Tranquility on the moon, all the way to a place called Wright Brothers Field on Mars, this little machine of wood, wire, and cloth didn't just teach us how to fly, it showed us that the impossible is totally within our reach. The only question is, where will that knowledge take us next?